Applying to residency is a challenge, it's difficult, and it's a long process. Um, Part of that process is just figuring things out. So for you, what was the hardest part about this process in applying to PERIO residency programs?
So I will say two things. It was what really hardest thing in my experience about this process. The first one, it was gathering information because when I came here to this country, I was basically on my own with my wife and just basically figuring everything out, okay, along the road. So I believe that would be the number one thing that it was the on my list of the hardest thing, just gathering information, asking other people, um, figuring out what program, what are the requirements, what they need to, how do I start, how do I even start. So I only had only a few details before I started this process. So gathering that information, that was the part that took me the longest. And there's a lot of things that I found out along the road and made me change whatever I had before. So I think that would be primarily the hardest thing. The second thing is the time, the availability that you have uh, going or starting this process. All right. On my experience, it's just working, having the time to work at the same time, gathering that information that we just talked before, and just working here in the United States. It just takes it's just time consuming. It's time consuming. You have to work from you have your schedule and finding the little gaps to be able to get everything together for the application. That would be the second thing. I really had a good help, which is my wife. Actually, she helped me on those moments that I was in the middle of the surgeries and back in work, and she is the one who was, hey, all right, as soon as I finish, hey, Javier, this is. So that really helped me through this long process.
Perio. Yes, the specialty where there's lots of surgery, lots of soft tissue, implants, and other procedures. Stay tuned as we talk to a doc who's internationally trained, who's now here in the US and just matched into his top program to become a board certified periodontist. Stay tuned. Hey everyone, this is Dr. Darwin, your new dentist coach, with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, be sure that you are continuing to share, like, comment, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have continued to amass lots of videos that have been very helpful, free content. Feel free to support the channel in many different ways. Note it down below. Also, stay all the way to the end. And this episode of Ask Dr. Darwin is being brought to you by getintodentalresidency.com. Get into dental residency right down here. The ultimate resource that help you get your application together, get you prepared for your interviews so that you can match and be selected for the residency program of your dreams. For more details, go down to the link below, right down here. All right. So today we're joined by a special guest who's got a very unique situation background that reached out to us and wanted to share a little bit more about his journey into becoming a board certified periodontist. Today we're joined with Dr. Javier. How you doing, man?
Doing great, doing great. Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So for those of us that are just meeting you for the first time, please feel free to tell us where you're from, a little bit more about your background.
Yes, definitely. So thank you again for having me here. As you mentioned before, my name is Javier Perez. I'm a dentist, graduated from Venezuela, Universidad de Carabobo, which is in Valencia. I was born and raised there in a small town called Puerto Cabello. And after I did my dental training, I pursued my residency in oral maxillofacial surgery. I finished my education in 2015. I was able only to work 2 years when situation in the country and situation that are not for this type of uh, interviews, but for some reasons we have to basically immigrate our country. So we decided to come here and pursue our dream to keep studying, to be able to practice, keep doing what we love, and that's how I ended up here in Texas and pursuing that dream to be able to continue my growth professionally and personally growth, and until, well, all this long process finally pay back actually give my pay back all the hard work, and now we're able to soon start the PERIO program.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about that program. And again, make sure you guys are staying all the way through so we can reveal that, and you'll be able to hear a little bit more about the program that he's going to be going to as well. So PERIO, why PERIO for you? Why did you decide to do PERIO, especially after being trained as an oral maxillofacial surgeon in your country? So why PERIO?
Yeah, good question. I always, of course, surgery has been part of my life. I've been seeing surgery since I was a kid. For my parent background, my dad in this case, and my brother, my older brother, and I always been interested in surgery. So that's the main reason I decided to follow this path. But what really got me into perio, especially when I came here to this country, it was something that I noticed before, but especially in this country, is the unique relationship that you build with your patients. It's something unique. It's something that I really enjoy. That's my motivation, to help them, to know about them, know the background, and to be able to help them not only on the clinical part, but also just even by talking, asking, just building that relationship is even more important than the actual help they came to you, in this case the surgery. So that's what is really unique about a perio. And the other thing is that you get to see the patient as a whole. You don't see the patient just as a deep pocket. You see the patient as just a resorption here, or a recession patient. No, you see the patient as a complete whole, and every patient is different. Every patient has a unique situation, personally and health wise. So being able to be the one who to provide that care, that's what really got into me to be on the perio pathway. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Now, were there aspects about oral surgery that you felt you wanted to concentrate more via perio, or was it a decision to go into perio based on something else? Because again, not too many people will have those types of dual training. It happens sometimes for perio. For pedo ortho.
Yes.
And there are some perio pros programs, right? Or individuals who are board certified and board trained. But perio or surgery, can you just talk a little bit about that as relates to your decision to want to pursue and focus on periodontics?
Yes, and definitely we would be, as I mentioned before, that relationship with patient. As a oral surgery, most of my training, or I would say 90% of the training, was based on the hospital. So you were on call, you stay in the hospital for more than 48 hours, and it is a constant clinical involvement in oral surgery, especially in a country where We work in a public hospital, and back in the days when I was in the hospital during the residency, it was one of the most violent countries in the world, actually. So we have a lot of training clinically. We do some oral surgeries in private practices and private office, where we do just minor oral surgeries. And but what's driven me to pursue this one is because even though I had that training, I didn't get involved too much with patient, and that was something that was lacking on my training. And even when I finished my training, I kept working in the hospital as a faculty member, a professor, and you notice that lack of relationship with the patient. So engaging with them, knowing them, and establishing not only the clinical aspect of it, but also this, I would say, the psychological part of just help them, just asking just questions, just a simple, how's your day today? Hey, how was your family? How's your kid? So minor thing, just really easy questions. That relationship, that's what make me pursue this dream. Because when the people that are working right now, the doctors are, and right now we have patients that have been coming to the office for the last 20, 30 years. Yeah. And you can notice it's different from a patient that you only see in 1-2 appointments, and that's it. That's what I really wanted to experience, is to base my practice.
So that sounds good. So practice and perfection and preparation. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Darwin. Just want to take a quick break from this episode and hope that you are enjoying it. First thing I want to ask is, did you know that a large majority of the individuals like you who watch these episodes are not subscribed to the channel, to the YouTube channel? Nevertheless, we want to say thank you for watching and continuing to share these videos and episodes with others. Next, I want to say is subscribe. Yes, please hit the subscribe button so that you get these notifications each time these episodes are released. Last is I wanted to connect with those of you who are seeking to become an advanced dentist and specialist. And I invite you to our next event called the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge. This is a special 4-day event that will give you direct access to the mistakes that you want to avoid when you're applying to residency programs, and also the 8 steps that you also want to avoid so that you do not have an unsuccessful application submission. The information that we will be covering over those 4 days will be some of the tips and strategies that I teach in my one-on-one and group coaching trainings with clients who are continually and successfully being matched into and selected into high-profile residency programs here in North America. So if you're pursuing or aspiring to get into dental residency this application cycle, this challenge is for you. Check out the link below to receive more details and join the challenge. And also, I would encourage you to enroll in the challenge via the VIP experience. The VIP experience gives you actually access to a 1-hour Q&A session every day of the challenge before we actually get started with the challenge. And it guarantees me to answer your specific questions that you and other VIP experience members have on a daily basis. So I'll see you in the Get Into Dental Residency Challenge, and let's get back to this episode. Practice and perfection and preparation, all important P's during this process of applying to residency. So let's talk a little bit about your preparation. How did you prepare for your application, especially with you coming from an oral surgery background, from another country into the US? And then, like you said, one of the hardest parts of this process for you was gathering that information. So once you started gathering that information, what else did you have to do to prepare your application accordingly?
So first of all, once I had that information that as I mentioned before, even I was along the road, I was getting new information, and that made me change everything about it. But what was the key on the application is that this was my second, or this is my second, it was my second cycle that I applied. The previous one, I finished all the requirements needed at basically the last week of the deadline. So when I prepared my application, of course, I don't know how to say this, but I probably was a little mess because I only had probably like a week and a half preparing that application. And that actually taught me a lot of things. So for this application, took the time to really gather everything, all the requirements that I needed. I started building up my curriculum even more. Okay, I did some fellowship. I also was involved in some continuing education with the doctors that I'm currently working right now, and just basically building all the applications month before the cycle started. So that was the major thing, or the key on this application. So do a really early application instead of delayed, and gathering everything. Okay, and as I mentioned before, I have a really huge help because well, coming from different country, you had to start here with 1-2 jobs at the same time. You don't have enough time just to get everything ready.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to pay your bills, you have to work.
Yeah.
So my wife really played a major role, because when I was here working in the middle of the surgery, she's the one who took the emails or phone calls, and then as soon as I finished, she used to call me here at the office and, hey, they need you. I have to walk out of the surgery just because I needed to get this information from this doctor, or this information from the program, or signing some documents. So that play a major role actually in my application, because it's not easy, because by the time that I was finishing work, everything is closed, everything is already late in the day. So
yeah, that makes a difference. And like you said,
yes,
starting early, even though you know, some of the things were out of your control as far as trying to get some of those prerequisites or some things done. But you mentioned something that was interesting me. You said fellowship. One of the things that you did during this process of preparing was doing a fellowship and doing some continuing education. So 2 questions from that. Number one, you mentioned a fellowship. So what type of fellowship? Where did you do it? And how did you think that helped your candidacy?
Yes. So and the work that I'm currently involved right now, I'm a lead surgical assistant and an implant coordinator, and also an research assistant. So when that application or that cycle finished, all right, I wanted to improve my curriculum. So one of the first thing that I did was signing for a fellowship in implantology. Okay, it was carried on by IHDS, okay, which is the Institute of Houston on Dental Synergy, okay, which is here in Houston, Texas, and they allowed me to join them, and it was amazing experience. Okay, so even though I have my education and have my training, the thing that I learned there, and it was very valuable. Okay, and of course that helped me improve my application, make it a little stronger. Also involved in the research department that we have here in the office. It really helped me a lot. I was involved in several studies, helping them with a lot of the logistic part of it, clinical part of it, and to be able to take that into my resume, really, I think it took a big impact in my application. So there was the 2 major things that I changed for this application.
Yeah, for the second cycle. So you added
for the second cycle.
Yeah, you added those. You added those things for the second cycle on application, and
yes,
definitely we know it paid off, because we're going to be talking about where he's going to be going to PERIO in a minute. I also heard you say CE, continuing education. Now, did you end up having the opportunity to go to the PERIO meeting, the annual meeting?
No, I wasn't able to. And the major thing or major reason is just working. yeah, I mean, I will continue to work here. It's a little by the time, because it's usually October ish, okay, the end of October. So I was just working, so I couldn't attend the last meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. Well, sometimes you can go, sometimes you can
Yes,
do other things that will
yes,
help to supplement and still add value to your application. So note that. Note
yeah,
that those that are listening and watching, note that. Let's also note the schools, the programs that you apply to, right?
yes,
If I'm not mistaken, there's probably about I think I don't have my number in front of me, but there's probably over 40, maybe 50 programs from PERIO
yes,
in the US, and very competitive
yes, very.
and a lot of different programs to choose from. So let's talk now about the number of schools you apply to, namely the second, or you can share the first cycle and second cycle, why you were applying to those programs or things that you were looking for in a program. And so let's just talk about that because people are gathering their list of programs. People are searching for
Yes.
certain things in programs, and your feedback would be helpful.
Yes, definitely. So there was a few things that all look into the programs, all right, for the first, the second cycle. For the first cycle, unfortunately, there was a deadline really close to it. So the most of the deadline for some programs were already at the end. Okay, so we couldn't apply too much of it. So I only applied for, as I recall, only 3 programs at that time. They were still open, all right, and to be able to choose the program that I wanted, the first thing that I took in consideration, it was the location, right? So I love Texas. Texas, I think, is very, they have really strong programs here. So that was the major thing, or the first thing that I took a look into these programs, okay? And to not be able to move that far from where I'm located. People that I know, okay, the work that I'm here.
Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
stay close to
stay
home.
close. They
Yeah,
stay
stay
close
close
to
to
home. I
Texas.
think,
And you're right, there's
yeah,
a lot of programs as well. So that
yes.
makes sense. Yep.
And well, now that you know my background, you will say, well, you move from one country to another. So I don't think relocation is a major thing for me. It's not actually, but it's just something unique about Texas and their programs. They're really strong, and that was one of the key things to take consideration. Okay, so by the second cycle, I did apply actually to 8 programs. Okay, out of those 40 that you mentioned, I applied to 8 programs, and these programs was based on discussions with my doctors that I work here, friends that already been in the program in a different programs all across the United States that I get to meet while I was working here, and that's what made me choose in between these 8 programs. Since I'm an international student, I wanted to follow up or pursue a program that was internationally friendly. That was something major for me, a key that I know that they have international residents there, and so that was another criteria that I took to choose these programs. The other thing is I wanted a really strong clinical program, really strong clinical. I wanted to, even though I had some training in the past and with the doctors that I work right now, so that was something that I know that I wanted to achieve. Okay, to be part of a really strong clinical program, but that's also a recommendation from the doctors here. They told me, we want you you need to just continue your clinical growth. Okay, even though both specialties, or surgery and perio, have their do surgeries, all right, but there's a unique difference in between each other. So we want you to, we recommend to you to train on that. So we base our list in clinical programs, really strong ones. So
Gotcha. So one program, three programs first cycle, about 8 for the second cycle.
Yes.
And what were those programs that you applied to? What were the names of those programs?
So I applied the only one that wasn't part of the match, okay, it was Loma Linda in California. That was one of the programs. And the main reason is because they are really good, clinical, really strong program, and they were no part of the match. So they were able to give you an answer way before the deadline.
See,
So that was, yeah, so that was one of the programs that was applied. The other one was Nova, Florida.
Nova Southeastern. Yep.
So, yep. So really good program, very international friendly, as I
See,
mentioned before. So I'm always looking for this in my criteria. Okay, it might be different from uh, others. Okay, but that was a good inclusion for my list. Dallas A&M Baylor. Okay, that was another program, really strong clinical program. I heard about a lot before the application about that program. Look into that, and it was still here in Texas.
Texas.
So
Yeah, good.
yes, yeah, which is a major thing. Tough, okay, Boston. That was another of the really strong clinical programs. Okay, and when I say clinical program, all the programs have a lot of research and everything, but they really when I mention about a strong clinical program is that really take that into consideration. They make you, even from day one, they want you to start with patients, teaching you and building that clinical experience.
Yeah.
Alabama was another one in the list, and there were, again, a really good program, and that was recommended by one of the doctors here. Told me, you want a really strong program, go to this one. Okay.
Yeah.
And yes, Temple was another program that I ended up applying. And again, a strong program, clinical. I had someone that it was on the general dentistry aspect of it, but they gave me some information about them, and they are really good. Okay, and the last one, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania was recommended by another of the doctors here. He told me, okay, even
Yeah.
though even though tuitions and the living there is going to be off the chart. Actually, he say by him, he said, just try and see. Okay, at least
Yeah.
get to know them and see what you can learn from that experience, gathering the information, and you will decide then.
That's
So
great,
those
man.
are,
So
yes,
8 programs: Loma Linda, Nova, Baylor, and Dallas, Tufts, UAB, Temple, and UPenn, both the last two in Philly. And you said something very key
yes,
for those that are listening and watching: recommendations and feedback from colleagues, from doctors that are either part of the specialty or maybe knew somebody that was a periodontist, and getting that feedback.
yes,
This is part of the process, everyone. This is part of you doing your Dun and Bradstreet or your due diligence and researching the programs and looking for things that you're making sure that you are the things that you're looking for in programs that these programs have, right? Very key, very important, because that's going to help with your why, perio, and the things that you're looking for in a program. So
definitely,
important to network, and why networking is so important as part of this process as well. So
definitely.
8 programs that you applied to. Let's move to the next step, because this is the step that everybody is really anxious about, more so than the application, which is the interview, right? Getting those invitations to sit down and talk face to face with your future colleagues and attendings and faculty members that are going to enlist you and also train you to become a board certified periodontist. So let's talk about the programs that you got interviews at, what the interview day was like at those locations, and any specific questions that were maybe unique or different or challenging for you.
For me, yes. So on this application, the first application cycle that I was I only had one interview because, as I mentioned before, about the lay application. Okay. For this second cycle, I was called to interview for two programs. It was Texas A&M, Dallas, and the other one was Tough. So those were the two interviews that I had on this cycle. All right. Both interviews were amazing experience. I actually enjoyed.
What made them amazing? What was the experience like as far as maybe interaction with residents, faculty, the facilities? What made those
Yes. So I had a couple of interviews for the first cycle. So I was very anxious to see what were going to be the question, what they're looking for. So by this one, I was more relaxed about those questions. I already had experience before, which is what is mess a little bit with your head when you're going to these interviews. So what was unique was they were able to ask, and I was able to talk to them about what I wanted for the program, and they told me what they wanted from a resident, and that was amazing because I could see that I was possible matching these programs, and I was going to be a good resident for them, and it would be a good program for me. So that's why it was amazing, because I was able to see that interviewing with them. I was able to, yes, have experience with the residents, with faculties. One of the interviews was in person. Okay, you have to go over there. The other one was a Zoom. All right, it was for a Zoom meeting, but it still was able to meet the resident, meet all the faculties, and yeah, it was an amazing experience. It was unique. It was unique. I really enjoyed both of those interviews.
So you mentioned that it was unique, but also the fact that they told you what they were looking for. What were some of the key characteristics that they shared, the two programs shared, as far as what they're looking for in candidates?
So the first thing, someone that was driven to help patients.
Okay,
That
driven,
was something mentioned.
dedicated, yeah.
Dedicated. They want someone dedicated. They want someone open-minded about treating the patient, not only see as the one issue they have, just to see the whole patient, or see the patient as a whole, which is what we talk in the beginning of the interview here on this interview that we have right now. So it was something that remarked me, because both of them actually were looking for that. Okay, they really teach that in their school, and that's something that it really got me there. Okay, the second thing is they based on my experience, they talk about it, that even I have that experience, they mentioned those difference are the ones that I want to improve, or that I want to be able to master. So when they talk about those differences, and that's what I'm aligned for, I was already convinced, but I think that really got me when they mentioned that. So as I mentioned before, both of them really strong clinical programs. They're going to help anyone who wants to be on this path. They will get an excellent training.
What were the questions like that they asked you? I'm sure they probably maybe shared or wanted you to share a little bit more about your experiences and things that you wrote in your personal statement or CV. But what were some of the questions? What did they ask you?
So the first one was why PERIO, being an oral surgeon, just like you asked me in the beginning, and basically probably with a different wording, but I established the same thing, that unique relationship with the patient is something that is what driven me to follow this path. All right, so it's just part of me. That's what I enjoy doing, what I do. All right, what we train for. That's what I enjoy the most, or that's what motivates me. Okay, being able to establish that. So, and that's something that when they ask that difference or what I wanted to accomplish in this program, and it was brought to them and say, that's what we're trying to teach. That's what we're trying to develop on the residents. So once they finish, they'll be able to be a complete, in this case, a complete periodontist, to not only seeing the clinical part, but to see the patient as a whole.
¿Qué más? ¿Qué otras preguntas? What other questions did they ask?
They asked me about when one of those I had to relocate. So they asked me about possible relocation. I say I relocate from thousands of miles from here. So I have no inconvenience, no problems doing it. All right. So it will be just a few less miles.
I know how to move. I can move. I've done that
Yeah,
before. Right.
yeah. So that was brought up in the questions. The other thing is about being already having the training, already being especially from a different country, to how will you or how your interaction will be with residents that not had that training or they are in training that you already have. How will be your relationship with those who will be already resident there? How will be your behavior? How you will take that as being a resident again? So fortunately, I learned so many things when I was a resident back in my country. Always having respect, always keep a good I would say personality. My personality is always trying to solve issues. I'm not the one who will engage in confrontation or will engage in any type of issue. I will just resolve the problem that appears. Okay, and that's something that I bring even here at work, everywhere that I go in my personal life. I'm a problem solver. So every time that I have a problem, I will solve the issue. I don't care why the problem, why it happened. No, I just care to solve the issue because in this case, this is a patient that we're talking about, and that's what I care the most. So I told him that also the interaction with the resident, I've been already in that situation, and I know how to respect the others. Okay, even though I come from, I already have the specialty, I will be considered, or I am considered a new in the newbie in the PERIO world.
Yeah, it's a collegial environment, just like anything else, especially if you're as a specialist getting referrals and communicating with those referring docs, and it's just an extension of that
Yes,
in the
definitely.
academic environment, right?
Definitely.
What were some of the challenging questions, or maybe challenging for you, or hard questions that they asked?
Hard question. Well, there was one asked me, what drive you off of your personality? Because see here, like you can see me right now. That's how I'm always happy. I'm always trying to get everyone around me on the same vibe. I always try to give everything, cool and, working, but always have a good environment. So they asked me, what makes you angry? Do you have any episodes of that in the past? I'm guessing because of the background that I have, I had that situations, okay, but it wasn't hard answering the question. It was hard to tell them or make them realize that I wasn't telling the truth when I told them I never get angry. I never get angry. I tell them no. A lot of things had happened to me in the past, especially when I was back in my country, that I learned how to keep myself in how I am. I never drive. I would never be set off by anything, because I've been in a lot of harder situations. And that's something that doesn't apply to me. So trying to explain that to them, I had to go back to my background, what I've been through, and then they realized, okay, now I understand. So, but that was hard. That was hard to explain it, at least to explain it. But there weren't anything other than that. I think that was the one that took more time to explain.
Yeah. So explain to us a little bit about these two programs. You got Baylor and Tufts. Specifically, as relates to, well, number one, are they both match programs or are they non-match? Or was Loma
They're
Linda the
match.
only non-match?
Yeah, yeah. Loma Linda. Loma Linda
Okay,
only
so Baylor and Tufts are both match
match.
programs. So that means
That's correct.
that you have to put together a rank list,
Yes.
right? And you've got two programs, right? So it's not going to be as easy if you just had one interview in one program. You've got two.
Yes.
And it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So talk about how you went about, what was the process that you used to determine where you're going to put Tufts, where you're going to put Baylor, and how one of those is first and one of those is second. Because I
Yeah.
know there's a lot of evaluation that goes on before you get the interviews, and then there's
Yes.
also evaluation that happens right after the interviews, or at least there should be. You all should be doing a post-interview evaluation for yourself about the programs and whether or not you see yourself there. So that's something else. But tell us about that process for you, and after the interview, how you were able, what you used to help you determine which program you were going to put first.
Yes, yes. So I had a really good talk with a friend that I met here at work. He was working as a research coordinator here. He's from Syria, and he actually went to PERIO school already in Chicago. So he told me that when he has his interview, he made a list on the pros and cons right after the interview, so you don't forget the details. So that's basically what I ended up doing. All right, following his advice, I made a list of everything that we talk. All right, not only the question that we just talked before, but everything. I gather everything. Okay, and since as I mentioned before, I like to be involved in a good environment. I like to be in that personal in an environment that matches my personality. That also took that as a criteria to make my rank. Okay, so once I finished both of the interviews, I matched those two papers that I had, that list, and that's what made me okay. This is going to be number one. This is going to be number two.
Yeah,
That's what.
good. Yeah, and that's good that you have that criteria, that you had criteria for yourself that you were going to use. Because I tell you, I work with individuals all the time, and they have maybe more interviews / more programs that they have
Yeah,
to prepare for.
prepare
And if
for
you
it.
don't have a system, or you don't have a
Yes.
policy or a strategy to be able to place those or to evaluate those programs after your interview so that you can rank them. If you don't have a strategy,
No.
you're killing yourself. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yes, yes.
Make sure you have a strategy and that you implement and get some feedback so that you're able to put yourself in the best opportunity for what you're looking for, but also based on feedback that you've gotten from your interview days and things like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
now's the big day. Now's the big time about the big day, which is the revealed. Where will you be taking your surgical and oral surgery expertise and talents to for your perio residency here in the U.S.? Where are you going to be going?
I will be going to Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, staying in Texas.
In Texas.
Viva la Texas.
Yes.
Congratulations, man. That's great.
That's
great.
Thank you.
So Baylor.
Baylor. Yes.
Baylor, Dallas, right?
Dallas. Yes. And we talked before, location was something when I started the applications major for my criteria, picking the programs. Both of the programs are great, and I actually had to remove that from my list because they were similar to it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't I wasn't just like, oh, because this is Texas. I actually took some time. I matched, as I mentioned before, the list. But in this case, Texas was my number one
Congrats, man. Congrats, man. Let's dive a little bit dive into the program, because the things that you did as far as part of your investigation, gathering that information, not only about this whole entire process, but also about the programs. Let's talk about Baylor. Let's talk about, maybe the mission, the philosophy, the clinical experience, whether or not it's a tuition or stipend base, things like that, because people want to hear more about a deeper dive into some of these programs that maybe they can't find on the website, or they don't know about. So so how many residents does Baylor take?
3. They take 3 residents per year.
3 residents, and PERIO program is how long?
3 years.
3
So
years.
3 years programs. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Yes.
What are some of the strengths of the program, or things that you really, really like that set Baylor out and that you're excited to be participating in for your training?
So 2 things. That was what actually made me fall off with A&M. It's just the first one, as I mentioned before, they're very, very strong clinical program, and I was able to see that. I was able to be there. I was able to attend to a couple of clinical hours as a part of the interview. So that's what is one of the strongest one, clinical. And but I knew that already, because recommendations, people that know me, the doctors that know what I was trying to accomplish, but I was able to see that, okay, with my own eyes, and how they take that clinical teaching to the residents.
Right.
All right. It is I won't say unique, but it is really something how they have established that teaching experience there. Okay, that teaching with the residency. Each faculty, they're always there in rotations. They do clinicals basically every day. All right, we were able to take a look of the amount of patients they are able to schedule. It is amazing. It's actually what not only because of the amount of patients, but how they teach to the residents. That was something that really got me. Okay, that's what made me the major thing. And the second thing is, and I brought this to the interview, all the residents in all the years are amazing. They're amazing individuals. Each one of them, they are very, very nice, very driven by the specialty. They're very good clinicians. They're really good people, good resident in between each other. They have an amazing relationship between each other. Okay, all the years of the from the first year all the way to the 3rd year residence. So all of them have a really strong, I would say, relationship between each other. I told them you managed to find that in the interviews, to find people or residents that know they will match that personality of each one of them, and they say absolutely. That's something that we really are taking into consideration to find. So that was the second thing that made me realize, no, I think this would be a very good match for me.
Gotcha. Is it a tuition base, or you have to pay tuition, or do you get a stipend?
Tuition, and there's a stipend also. So the stipend, as they mentioned, is not much, but it's something that it will help you, because part of the program is that you help with teaching. You have teaching hours for the general dentistry program. You help the hygienist department as well. So that's the reason why they have that stipend there. Stipend there. So
yes. How much is the stipend, and how much is tuition, so people have an idea?
So I have it right here, because I'm actually going to that right now, right here. So as for right now, for the summer period, so let's talk about this year, because I'm actually doing that right now and getting ready for the loan and all that process, which is a lot as well. It's like an application, but it's a lot of things also. So just we'll take, for example, for summer, it will be around the cost of attendance around 11,000. for summer period. Fall, spring, around 45,000. That's
So
usually
for each semester, or is it just total?
so that would be
45,000 for the year plus
for the
the
fall.
11,000
Yeah,
for the summer.
exactly. Yes.
Gotcha.
So tuition will be
About
well,
56.
how do you call it, resident? For the resident, it will be around like 10,000 per year tuition. Non-resident, around it will be right here 15,000 non-residents.
Wait a minute, you said 45 for spring, for fall and spring.
Fall, spring, yeah, 45 plus the summer, which is the
11.
11.
So
So
that's 50. I got 56. About 56 a year for 3 years.
the
Más o
cost of the,
menos.
yeah, that's the cost of the attendance that they have established there. So
Gotcha.
that's what you can get from your loans and
Yeah.
whatever.
And then you'll have a stipend because you have some teaching activity that's part of it. And
Yes.
have they indicated how much you're gonna get from that? Because that will offset.
Yeah, so I don't have the specific numbers, but I think
Okay.
around 10,000 a year.
Yeah. So just know you guys are going to be getting a stipend going into PERIO at Baylor.
Yes.
And so you can add that to your calculations as
Yes.
well. Awesome. What would you say about Baylor that you're really most excited about? What excites you the most about Baylor as you're getting ready to start up in July? If there was one thing.
If there were one thing,
see,
I would say being able to be involved in that specific environment, that's what makes me excited about starting soon. It's really just, it is amazing when I was able to go there and meet them.
Yeah.
How it matches my my personality, how it matches how I like to be involved, how I like to hang out, to see my patients. So I think that's what excited me the most. So people ask me sometimes, "Oh, are you anxious?" No, I'm actually excited.
Excited, not anxious, excited. Well, that means that it's a good fit, right?
Yes.
You all should be looking for the best fit, and only person that knows that is you.
Yourself.
That's it. So a good fit. So that's what it sounds like. Baylor is the best fit for you.
Yes.
Also, one of the things that we want to get from you is tips and advice. Knowing what you know now, and this your second cycle. We talked about it a little bit about the delay and during the first cycle, but knowing what you know through this whole process for the second cycle and what you've accomplished and what you've done, what are some tips, like 4 or 5 main tips and pieces of advice that you would want to share with people who are listening, who are putting together their application right now, or getting ready to submit their application right now, or getting ready to prepare themselves once they receive invitations for interviews? What are some tips? What are the main tips that you want to share?
Yeah, you mentioned 5. I would say the first 3, you just ask, and ask. Ask for information. Ask whoever is in the process, whoever already finished that process, whoever is already in residency, whoever is ready, a specialist, whoever is already a dentist. Ask some information. I think that's what took the longest in my case to be able to finish the whole this whole process. So whatever you think you need to know, ask. Don't retain that question, because believe me, information, I think, just most valuable asset that you have, and that's what's going to help you with the whole process from beginning to end. Even right now that I was already matched, I'm still getting information about some things that I still need to figure it out, to learn. So it's something that would never end. But for the process, the application progress, ask information. And that's the main reason I love what you do, Dr. Darwin. I love it because that's what everyone needs. That's what everyone is looking for. Information, okay, other experiences, okay, knowing what others that have been through this process in the past had to do, how to get that information. So I think that's the main reason I feel this is wonderful what you're doing, because it will help a lot of people. I have close friends, they didn't know how to start even. Okay, they have come the same way that I did. All right, and I just met one last week, to be honest with you, over the weekend, that I met her, and that if it was on a different program in my country, I met her over here. I have no idea how to even start the process, and no idea what an ECE is. And so those are the things that we need, information. So even if it's coming from another one, from this type of interviews, please ask, gather your information. I always wanted to, since I've started this process, I always told myself, I'm going to help as much as I can to others getting that information they need. So that would be my 1, 2, or 3. The second, the fourth tip that I will give anyone is to get, I know there's some things on there, or some requirements on the application that there's nothing you can do until the cycle starts, but start gathering all the requirements that you can before the cycle begins. Early application really helps. When you apply, you are really early application. There are a bunch of programs they do first come, first serve, basically, at least for the interviews. So try to get your application way before the cycle start, or at least as much as you can, and that really will help a lot. And the other thing, or for last, if you get called for your interview, be yourself. Don't try to show something different. Just keep yourself real, keep yourself how you are, because that's a major key what they're looking for. Okay, they're looking for you. They already know your background. They already have your resume, so they know what you know. Okay, they already know what's your experience. You already know your background. They want to know how you are. So always stay true to yourself when you're doing these interviews. When you get called, just be yourself, and that will be it.
Yeah, that's key, because you're going to be at that program for 3 years.
Yes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's easy to not be you for an interview, but it's
Yes.
hard to be you for
Yeah.
to be naturally you for 3 years. So go with the one it's much easier to do, which is who you really are,
Definitely.
who you're going to be, because that's the person that they want to show up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's the person that they're going to have the most interaction with. It's not going to be the person that they see at the interview, though, because the interview is just a glimpse. But because of that, you must show your enthusiasm. You must show your excitement. You must show certain characteristics of your personality. You must show them in those 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because that's the last time that you'll be able to do so. So go and be real, be yourself. Don't be scared. Don't be frightened. Don't have fear. Don't have apprehension, because guess what? It's a waste of time. You're wasting time being all those other things, having all those other things.
Yes.
You should have excitement, enthusiasm, and show that. And also gratitude to the committee for inviting you to meet face to face. Show all of that. You must show all of that. Some great tips. Thanks, Doc. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you if they have some more questions or want to talk to you some more?
Yeah, definitely. So as I mentioned before, that's something that I've always been wanted to do, help others, anything that they need, please. So it can be via email or Instagram. So let me put this right here. Yep. So in my case, for the Instagram, it would be JAP.
JAP.
Yeah. Underline
Underline.
Maxi PERIO.
Maxi. Go ahead.
Yeah, MAXIPERIO.
Got it.
So
Right up there. Check that out. JAP underscore. I'm sorry. Underline Maxi PERIO.
yes.
And emails. Is there an email address people can contact you?
Emails as well. JAP COLINA @gmail.com.
Bueno. Gracias. Gracias. So there you go.
Nada de nada.
Another one into PERIO. Another one into PERIO, and you can too. But also the next thing we want you to do is go to the next episode. Go to the next video episode right now. Go, go, go.